All right, this is question 23, and it looks like we have two different classes. Let's see if there's anything sketch going on with my class. We just have a public method here, and it only prints out something. All right. From the looks of the question, it looks like it's trying to test your knowledge of method overloading, maybe, or maybe it's just trying to confuse you, to be honest, right? So let's start at our typical starting point, main, right? And let's see what it does. So what does this line do right here? It declares, I guess it creates a new my class object in memory, and then immediately evokes its dot show me method, right? So this part right here declares and like I guess creates the object. So it'll go through its default constructor, right? Now I know there's no explicit default constructor like here, but what do you call it? Java has a default made for you, and it'll like initialize any variables equal to 0 or null. Here there are no variables to even initialize, so it just creates the object, right? And then we're going to use dot show me after creating the object. So that's why we have it in parentheses, because we got to create the object first, and only then can we invoke dot show me. So here's where confusion may arise, right? Because we have two show me's. Which one should we be using? Well, this is my class, or I guess like this is an object dot show me, and that object wasn't main. So in other words, it can't be this one, right? Because it wasn't like something along the lines of main dot show me, and it wasn't even just like down here show me, right? It was we had to make a whole class, or I guess not a whole class, a whole object, and then invoke show me, right? And the class is of type my class, right? So we should be going down here and seeing, does my class have a show me method? It does, right? And it takes the no parameters and they match up. We should be down here, right? So now we have like this little goofy print statement here. So of course we'll use that left to right principle to evaluate what's inside of that parentheses, right? So we got 3 divided by 2 plus 1, or in other words 3, right? What is 3 divided by 3 integer division? Should be 1, right? Okay, so now this whole thing is equal to 1. We just have to do 1 divided by 2 integer division. So we would typically get 0.5, or I guess what would be better is 0.5, but we have to truncate the decimal and everything to the right of it, right? So we end up getting 0. So what am I going to do? I'm gonna print out 0. That's what this like the parentheses evaluated to. What's inside of the print statement? It evaluated to 0, so I ought to print 0, right? So we're printing out 0. Okay. Now that this is done, I can go back to here and realize that this line has been complete. I go to the next one, right? What is this one? What is the difference between this guy and this guy, right? This one, we had to create an object, a temporary object, by the way. Like this object isn't like you can't access it anymore after this line because we didn't assign it to a variable, right? So after I guess like the whole purpose of this object right here was just to invoke the my class show me method, right? Because after this line is done, you can't access this one anymore. The garbage collection system picked it up, right? So what's the difference between these two lines? You had to use a my class object to access this method here. Here we don't have to use any object at all, right? We just have to see, can we see a method called show me within main that takes no parameters? And of course we can. It's right here, right? It's in main. It has no parameters and it's called show me. That's exactly what we need. So we're going to go right here. Here's where we're going to start. And by the way, these two brackets here may be just there to throw you off, but you can put as many brackets here as you really want. Um, it'll just it won't really do too much unless you start declaring variables in here, and then those will be local variables to these brackets. Well, what I'm saying is that this is not going to like crash your code or anything, right? It might actually have been a typo, but it's not a typo that's going to kill your code, right? It'll just maybe compartmentalize your function here, but that's neither here nor there. Let's just see what this evaluates to. Okay, so we're printing the sum, I guess, of 3 over 2 integer division plus 1 over 2 integer division. So what is 3 over 2, right? 3 over 2 integer division is equal to 1.5, but not really 1.5 because we had to truncate the decimal and everything to the right. So it's equal to 1, right? So this guy down here is 1. So then what is 1 over 2 integer division? We already did it, right down here. It was equal to 0. So realistically, we need to be printing 1 plus 0, and it's equal to 1, right? And then we return here, and then we realize that there's nothing else in main. We have 0, 1, so we would select B in this case, and we can go check that. And yes, it would look like B would be the answer you'd want to choose on the test. I'll see you guys in the next one.